consistent with when I upload to YouTube, leaving thousands of people wondering, where's Dan? What's going on? I have hundreds of people waiting on me to ship out my comic book. I have all these artists on my Patreon and who take my online workshops, looking to me for guidance and support.
I have friends buried here.
And on top of that,
please,
all these
we must
DMs
prevent their bodies from being raised.
people wanting me to draw their comic. But before you send this to your portfolio saying, Dan, please hire me. Please stop. I will give you instructions at the end of the video of how you can submit your work if you'd like to work with me. And this video is a rant, so I'm sorry if it comes out like work cue or a therapy session. It's kind of because it is, and I've had a lot of things bottled up inside that I haven't really shared with a lot of people, and I really feel the need to communicate this to you because you give me so much of your time and attention. One evening of November 2020 last year, I went to see my physical therapist because I was having very severe lower back pain. During the visit, I collapsed in excruciating pain. I was having muscle spasms in the lower back region. Anytime I moved an inch, it felt like someone was gripping the base of my spine and trying to rip it out like it's a Mortal Kombat fatality. And if you're like, Dan, I thought we were talking about your channel and your heart, why are we talking about your back? Trust me, this will all tie together in a minute. So that goes on for about a week. I'm confined to bed, peeing in a bucket. My girlfriend's making me food and taking care of me. I physically could not even walk for the first few days, and once I was able to stand up, I couldn't stand up for more than a few minutes without the pain getting really bad again. But after about a week, I'm able to be up and move around for a little bit at a time. And since I've been laying in bed for a week, I haven't made any money, and now I'm behind on all of my freelance projects, and it's time to go back to the desk because the desk is the place where Dan makes his living. Unfortunately, being at a desk all the time was one of the main causes of my injury. I couldn't even sit in a chair for more than an hour, and to this day I have to either kneel or stand most of the time, with the exception of making these videos for 20 minutes or so. I am never in a chair for long periods of time anymore because it causes the pain to come back. But even for a while, just kneeling or standing at a desk was still extremely agonizing. In addition to the physical pain I was feeling, I was in a deep rut of depression. I was feeling very creatively stifled by my freelance work. I've known since I was a kid I'm supposed to tell my own stories, make my own art, and do that. But here I was every day making everyone else's dream projects come true, and mine were collecting dust on the shelf. I had a comic book, Odyssey and the Twin Bengals, that I was supposed to ship out in April, and the only way to get that shipped out was to work in the morning or evenings, which meant more time at the desk, which meant more back pain and probably another hospital visit. So I had a choice to either prioritize the things that would make me money and keep me afloat, or work extremely insane hours and likely injure myself and put myself out of commission for another month or so. Because it wasn't just a week that I couldn't work, it was like a month or two of low productivity because I couldn't be at the desk very much and I didn't make a ton of money. So it was a big financial hit at the time. And if you add to that the constant carousel of projects that I'm involved in and the increasing amount of responsibility that I have now that I have a partner audience online, it was all becoming too much for me to manage. Now if you're wondering, like, Dan, you're a comic artist, you're an illustrator, that's the coolest job in the world, how could you possibly be unhappy doing that job? Anything can become tedious if you do it for long enough. There's a lot of artists that worry about, but if I'm doing commissions or art for my job, I'm worried I'm not going to be able to enjoy it anymore. And to that I say, it varies from person to person. There's comic book artists who do comics their entire career with commission work, and they're perfectly happy just taking prompts from writers and pumping out the panels. For me, I was starting to feel like a human printer. Like, hey Dan, render this for us. Okay. It all started to feel very mechanical, and I miss just drawing for fun. But don't want to discourage anyone who does want to do commissions. Know that it is a good way to make an income, but also understand no matter what you're doing in your art career, at some point you're going to outgrow it. And I felt like after 3.5 years that it's been now, I have outgrown doing this type of commission work, at least for the time being. And of course, I want to start building my own body of work with my comics. I want to have a bibliography that I can point to someday and say, hey, this is what Dan Ickes has contributed to art and to literature. He's done more than just make YouTube videos. So I'm in physical pain, I'm in spiritual pain, and let's add to that some financial pain, because in 2020, I made a profit of about $5,000 from my art commission practice. So that is 1 year of work drawing for other people to make a profit of $5,000. I want to have a family someday. I want to be able to support them. I want to travel and have certain experiences while I'm still young and I don't have kids. I want to hire artists to help me with my projects and help them get their careers off the ground. All of this requires funding. It's becoming clear that doing commissions alone wasn't going to be enough to accomplish my dreams of doing my own art full time. And I'm sure you can relate, but it's very hard to stay motivated for a job when you have to show up every day and you get punished just for showing up. But it was a blessing in disguise because it was the universe telling me, Dan, you don't belong here anymore, and we're gonna light a fire under your butt that burns so hot you're gonna be in so much pain you are going to scream and run and get the heck out of here. So I came up with an idea. I remember talking to a comic artist named Jason Brubaker who said he was able to do his own comics full time thanks to the passive income that he had set up for himself. Now, the passive income I attempted to set up for myself in the past, most of those endeavors flopped, but I did make $10,000 from an online workshop teaching artists how to get art commissions. So I saw the light. I was like, this is working. This could replace my commission income. This is how I can escape my day job and finally live my dream and give my gift to the world, because it's much more passive and it didn't require me to be at the desk as much. There's one lesson that I have learned in my art career. It's that when something is working, do more of that. So I launched a new workshop teaching artists how to grow their audience online because that's what they told me they wanted to learn about. It's been a big success. A lot of artists are getting great results with the content and applying it to their art careers. People are growing their followings on social media. They're getting new commission opportunities. And it seems like, all right, yeah, I'm really making a difference. I'm doing work that I care about and I'm able to continue to support my art. And then came the imposter syndrome. I started having like the occasional hater comment on my videos saying, this guy's a snake oil salesman, this is a pyramid scheme. And normally I wouldn't let that kind of stuff get to me. And there was even a time where I put out a video which got a ton of dislikes, and there was someone who commented on that, something really passive aggressive, and the comment got like 600 likes. So once in a while I would just get waves of negativity like that, and I'm like, the reason I made these workshops was because when I asked my friends in the art community, what is the biggest problem that you're having as an artist, the two biggest answers that I got again and again were money and how to get exposure for your work. So when I do something to help the art community with the two biggest problems you told me you're having, I get punished for it. And even though my content is mostly well received and I get tons of encouraging comments and messages from people saying how my work has helped them, that 1% of negativity really can eat at you. So I felt pretty confused. Like, I felt good about this mission of helping the art community and helping other artists start their careers, but now I have to watch how I show up every day, because if I don't communicate my idea in the exact right way, I'm gonna get hate for it, and I'm gonna have to deal with negativity and deleting negative comments. Not to mention, almost every single artist that I follow who does art professionally does some form of educational content. And besides Will Terry, I'm like the only artist in the community who does content to help you make a sustainable income and build an audience. Again, the two biggest problems are artists tell me again and again that they're having. So everyone else can do educational content if it's about like color and lighting. But if I do one that's practical and gonna help you have a good career, I get called a snake oil salesman. I feel like my intentions are very pure. I have done so much for the art community. I've given my phone number to people in my audience so that they can text me and ask me questions, volunteer work with nonprofits, stuff that I do off camera that I don't feel the need to show. I've done more for the art community than most of those haters probably ever will. So now every week I have to put out a video, because now this is part of my art business, and now every week I'm worried that I'm gonna be misunderstood. People are gonna judge me because they watch half of a 10-minute video of me talking and they think they know who I am as a person. What if I wear the wrong shirt? Is that gonna make the wrong impression on people? I was also feeling sort of lost in this like YouTube persona. All my friends are saying, Dan, I love your YouTube channel, it's so great. And I'm like, that's so not the thing I want to be known for. I want to be known for my comics and my art. Not to mention when people come to a video and they see a bunch of dislikes and a negative comment that gets like hundreds of likes, they're going to be like, oh, I guess other people don't like this Dan Ickes character. Maybe I shouldn't like him either. That affects people's first impressions of you, and that affects your art business. So when you dislike a video or you leave a negative comment on another artist's content, you are literally taking money out of their pocket. This is my job. I'm a visual artist just like you, and I just want to support myself and help the art community while I'm doing it. I don't hold any ill feelings about that. I really just felt the need to vent. And if you see any of those haters in the comments, please be nice to them. They're just suffering inside and they feel the need to make someone else suffer because they don't feel good about themselves. Please be nice to them. I don't want my comment sections turning into a bunch of arguments, but I also appreciate everyone who has stood up for me when anytime one of those trolls comes around. It really means a lot. I've gone through a lot that I'm not gonna cover in this video. I lost a loved one, which was very traumatic for me this year. I've had suicidal thoughts. Don't worry, I'm okay. I've been through a lot of stuff, and that is the reason I have not been consistent with things, but I promise I'm going to do better. So long story short, I didn't do a good job of managing my time and all of my commitments. Over the past year, I've been so overwhelmed and unfocused and demotivated to do this. I'm sorry that I let my mental health decline and I let depression affect my ability to show up and support you. I'm in a much happier place right now, so please don't worry about me. I have a lot of friends and mentors and people who have really been supporting and encouraging me, and I'm all right. And I'm sorry that I just let all the challenges that I was facing get me down. I could have done better, and I'm going to do better moving forward. So what's different now? Dan has hired a business coach. She has helped me prioritize. I am much more organized. I have a clear-cut schedule that I can follow every week so that I can stay on top of all my commitments. I feel great about the work that I'm doing. I'm enjoying drawing again. I've communicated with my freelance clients about a decent interval for me leaving the projects that we're doing so that I can go pursue my illustration and my comics work. So let's give some quick project updates on all my stuff, and let's talk about how you and me could potentially work together. First up, Odyssey Inc. The Twin Bengals, my graphic novel that was supposed to ship out in April, is being printed right now. The printer said we should probably have it by the end of September. So in October, I'm having a packing party here at my studio in Pittsburgh. We're gonna pack up all the books and Kickstarter rewards and get them shipped out. If you live in Pittsburgh and you wanna come see the studio and hang out with us and help with the packing, DM me on Instagram and make the first 2 words of your message all caps, packing party, so that I see it. And that's really important because I get a ton of DMs, so I might not see it otherwise. I will feed you pizza and you can come check out the studio and see where I make all my art and all these videos. Next up is YouTube. I am very dissatisfied with the quality of my YouTube content, and I know the information in my videos is really good because you tell me all the time, so thank you. But my presentation has been very unprofessional. For a long time, I was filming on like a crappy webcam with just poor lighting and then on my iPhone, and I'm looking around like there's 19-year-old influencers who have better audio and video quality than me, and I call myself a professional at this, so that's both hilarious and unacceptable. And I'm not about to let the D'Amelio sisters show me up. I'm also sticking with a more consistent recording, editing, and uploading schedule. My goal is to do 1 new video every Monday on the dot. And if you want to help me with YouTube, I am hiring a video editor. So email me at dan@danekas.com. Make the subject line video editor in all caps so I see it, and include a link to videos that you've edited in the past. If all goes well, this could be ongoing work and a steady paycheck for you. Next up is online educational content. We're going to continue to provide that for aspiring and professional artists. The final video lessons for the How to Build an Audience workshop will be up by the end of the week, and the How to Get Art Commissions course is getting a complete overhaul this fall, but I'm trimming the content down to make it more concise, more entertaining and engaging, and just add some nice video slides to make it more palatable. If you want to help with the online education stuff that we're doing, email me at dan@danekas.com. Make the subject line Facebook moderator in all caps. I'm looking to hire professional artists to moderate our private Facebook community and help with the critiques that we do in there of other artists' work. Next, my illustration work. You can follow me at EkasDan. I'm posting weekly art and art inspiration. I also have a Draw This in Your Style challenge going on right now. The deadline is October 13th. Check me out at EkasDan, EKISDAN on Instagram to see the rules for that. Patreon. If you want to get your art critiqued and you want some one-on-one advice from me, Patreon is the best place to do it. I get bombarded with messages from people saying, Dan, can you give me advice? Dan, can you look at my art, tell me what I need to work on? And I love hearing from you, but I get so many of these messages. I can no longer do this for free. This is now a lot of work that I have to do. So if you want that kind of support from me, please consider subscribing to the Patreon so you can support this channel that way. Overall, I'm sorry again. Thanks for sticking with me through all the ups and downs of my career. I love you so much. And again, all the messages and positive comments that you leave, that's the stuff that I read when I'm having a bad day or when I'm having really bad thoughts. That's what keeps me going. So I really love you so much, and I can't thank you enough for just supporting me and believing in me this whole time. And if you're going through a rough time right now, remember, spring always follows winter. This was probably the hardest year of my entire life, but it's turning around and the future looks really bright, and I want your future to be good as well, and I want to continue to support you on your journey. If you're going through a hard time right now, please talk to somebody, whether it's a family member, friend, counselor, therapist. Please don't keep those emotions.
China is rising as the house of cards, China's crazy real estate housing market that is beyond any other bubble we've seen before, comes tumbling down. What we've seen overnight is China is entering into a liquidity crisis, and China's central bank had to inject $14 billion in the banking system to save this run on the money market. We saw a sell-off in gold and silver last night, which was likely due to people selling off their gold and silver to cover margin positions, also to cover losses. We saw the 10-year treasury sell off as some banks may had to sell some assets to get some cash, and we saw the stock market drop a bit as well. People, I've got some new news and data, and I've done a lot more research on the situation that's going on in China with Evergrande, and it's much worse than we think. And as I showed you in my previous video, people in China are very angry, they'll put up with a lot, but when it comes to money, that's when they finally lose. So as we can see there, social unrest is rising in China. People are upset. But firstly, we have to understand, how did China get into this situation with this crazy speculative housing bubble in the first place? Well, I've been doing lots and lots of research, and the first thing I wanted to understand was China's culture. Now, I'm going to say I'm an expert on China's culture, but I have done some research that explains how we got into this crazy speculative position in the first place. So first thing first, in China, what you have to understand is there's a lot more men than women. And in order to get married, if you want to find, a good wife, it is highly favorable for you to own property. Not many families, because remember, it's not just the woman's decision, it's also the family's decision. When you marry, the girl, you also marry the family as well. They want the man to own real estate. So it's also a social status issue as well. Secondly, China's stock market completely crashed in 2015. So this has led many people to not trust the stock market, and their best bet on making wealth is the housing market. Now, another reason why the housing market has got so crazy is people are speculating, and they've taken it up 1,000. What happens in China is the government owns the land. Developers actually lease the land off the government for a maximum of 70 years. And so these apartments, they're not really built to good quality or good standard, and normally what happens is, to keep the cash cow going, is they'll demolish these buildings after 40, 50 years, etc., and then rebuild again. And so how it works is, many Chinese people don't want to buy second-hand property, because also in their culture, they think they may inherit the previous owner's bad luck. And so a lot of these apartments and these ghost cities that we're seeing, the reason why they're built is because Chinese people, they'll just buy 3, 4, 5, etc. And they don't even, finish fitting them out. They're normally just shell apartments because they can actually sell them more as a shell apartment 3 years down the line than if someone moved in and they rented out. They don't even care about the yields because the yields in China are only just about 1%. And again, they can just resell it for more if they keep it unoccupied. And also previously there's been no property taxes in China, which is something they're trying to bring in now to cool the speculative bubble. And I'll bring up a chart here to show how crazy the house prices to income ratios are. And you may think, how can they get this? Well, again, they will do anything to get an apartment. They will pull together as a family. They'll go to their parents, aunties, uncles, grandma, grandparents, etc. They'll pull their money together to buy an apartment. And also, they'll take any loans they can. They'll take credit card debt, personal loans, etc. to get into the housing market. And just like any speculative bet, the only way they can get ahead is if they can flip it in a few more years for a profit. Now, obviously, this doesn't just happen in China. This is what happened in the US subprime mortgage crisis. There's lots of speculation going on in Australia right now with the Australian housing market, but they have taken the speculation up a notch. And so, like all Ponzi schemes, it works until it doesn't. And a lot of people are speculating that the CCP will bail out Evergrande. What you have to know is why Evergrande and the housing market is in this situation in the first place is because China created something called the 3 red line rule.
Yo,
So
if that's the real stock guy that I watched, then
what happens is if once a property developer
I like your
hits
channel, dude.
1 or 2 or 3 of these are red lines, they can no longer get
and you had to
credit.
watch me
And the
die in
reason
embarrassing
China did this
fashion.
was because the housing market was getting out of control. These billionaires were getting far too wealthy. They've now got this common prosperity goal, which sounds good, but it may just be more like give your money to the state and then we'll distribute it. Again, China doesn't want their billionaires getting too much power. We've seen what happened with Jack Ma. We're seeing more and more.
Hey man,
China
sweet dude, I
clamping
appreciate
down
it.
their billionaires or locking them up and even clamping down.
I'm not heavy on the stock market myself, but
because,
I found
again,
your stock
China, the CCP,
your stream a while
is
ago
about
when you
their
were
power
streaming
and being
to
power and authority
Michaela?
and the economy second. Now, obviously,
Like
they do want to
Tyler
see
One's
the
girlfriend. You had
but
no
like I
idea
said,
who
they
she
want to
was?
retain their power.
That shit was funny, dude.
Going back to these 3 red line rules, which is what's created this deleveraging and this downturn crashing of the housing market. So first things first, they have to have a liability to asset ratio of less than 70%. They also have to have a net gearing ratio of less than 100% and a cash to short-term debt ratio of more than 1 time. They have to have more cash than short-term debt. So developers like Evergrande failed to meet 1, 2, or all 3 of these red lines. Regulators put them as limits onto the extent to which they can grow their debt. And so Evergrande hit all 3 of these red lines. And so this is actually what China wanted. They wanted this deleveraging in the real estate market because it was creating financial instability. And so while everyone's saying that they definitely will bail them out, they actually may not. Because China may actually be learning from the US that if you bail out Evergrande, what do you think else is going to happen? Well, there's many other developers that are going to be hit in this real estate downturn. It won't just be Evergrande. And if they bail out Evergrande, then all the other developers are going to come crying for a bailout as well. And then this just increases the risk tolerance, because the reason they're doing this is to reduce risk in the housing market and the financial system. So if they give a bailout, then all these developers are going to say, hey, let's keep the risk going, let's keep on being highly leveraged, because if things fail, we'll get a bailout. And this is what really should happen in the West with the US and Australia. These companies, that lose, say for example, 10-20% of their revenue, first thing they do is they go cry to the government, they go cry to the central bank and say, hey, we need a bailout, even though they've made billions of dollars, they've capitalized the profits, and now they want to socialize losses. They go have a cry to mama and papa, government and central bank and say, give me a bailout or the whole world is going to end. Which of course it's the government and central banks propping up these industries like the banking industry and the housing market. They're the ones making it too big to fail. And look, if the banking sector does crash, if the housing market does crash, I'm sure we'll be able to find a solution to rebuild. But in the West, they just want the good times to keep on rolling, and all they're doing is buying time and creating more risk in the financial system and incentivizing people to take on more risk And if they keep on incentivizing people to take on more risk, then it may get to a point when they can't bail everyone out. But again, let's go back to the situation in China and go over what this really means for you and me and for the global economy. Because look, it's starting to come more and more in the mainstream media. Listen to this, some of these headlines. China's embattled developer Evergrande is on the brink of default. Here's why it matters. And so it goes on to talk about how this is going to have a big effect on the construction industry. Suppliers are going to be affected. Banks are going to be affected because there's more 100 banks and over 100 non-banks that have lending exposure to this. HSBC has exposure to this, and Standard Chartered has exposure to this. The share price dropped around 11% again today, but then again with the liquidity injection from the central bank, it did help cut some of the losses, and also they had a lunch break to stop trading. So Evergrande owns 1,300 real estate projects in over 280 cities in China. Its property service management arm is involved in nearly 2,800 projects across more than 310 cities in China. But people, next week is crucial because that's when its interest is due. They've already said they're not going to be able to pay their interest, so it's likely that they are going to default without a last minute bailout. They've got about $600 million in bond payments due this year, and a lot of these bonds are priced in US dollars. So unlike in the US, when the Federal Reserve can just print more money, the central bank in China, they can't print US dollars. So it's a lot harder for them to bail out these companies than the US that has world reserve currency status. And so what's this caused is this caused a sell-off in the Asia bond market, and all the yields for property developers in the Asia market spiked. And so this is going to cause, again, a liquidity crisis, and it's going to make it very hard for developers to get funding, and this is going to send house prices in China plummeting, because also what Evergrande is now doing, what they said they're going to do, is they're going to discount heavily their projects, and they're going to try give some investors unfinished projects or unfinished apartments. And so what that's going to do is, if they drop their prices, then all the other developers are going to have to drop their prices too, and this is going to lead to a downward spiral in real estate prices in China. So why should us in the West worry about this? Because it's not just Chinese money that's invested in China. We've seen investors like Ray Dalio. He's been investing heavily in China, and he's been telling everyone to get out of dollars, get into the yuan, and that has worked in the short term, but the yuan may drop. We've also seen investors like Charlie Munger, who's been very bullish on China. So again, there's a lot of US money in there as well. And like I was saying in my previous video, if this does cause a big liquidity crisis, well then these Chinese investors or these developers, they may have to sell off some foreign assets, maybe some foreign stocks, some US treasuries, which would make interest rates like what we saw with the treasury yields go up. We saw a sell-off in precious metals, so we may see more selling pressure for gold and silver. And again, Chinese investors and developers have been buying up land and developments all around the world. They've been buying up property all around the world, so they may have to sell off some of the assets in other countries as well, like Australia, like the US, like Canada, UK, etc. So everyone, I think this situation that's developing in China right now is literally the single biggest risk to the financial system and the global economy right now, because we're seeing retail sales is falling in China. There's been more lockdowns. We're seeing all the supply chain issues. This is going to ruin consumer confidence there. And China has been a big buyer and big purchaser of goods around the world. So if China goes down, we're going to feel it throughout the rest of the world. So the key dates is Monday and Thursday next week when their payments are due. So don't worry, I'll keep you updated next week to see what happens if they do get a bailout or they don't get a bailout, and we'll see what effect this has on the global markets. But everyone, that was just my thoughts and opinions on the situation. What do you think? Let me know. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Time to do some real damage.
What's going on, YouTube? My name is Chris, and in today's video, I'm going to explore the world of options trading with you, even if you don't know one thing about options trading. I will be explaining the most important options trading concept to you using examples, lots of examples, and visualizations so that you can understand and actually see how options work
No, thank you. Kevin Samuels is gay. Yeesh. Okay. All right.
Time to do some real damage.
What? There we go.
Shifting sand. I need healing. Seriously.
Oh, dude.
Still standing. Barely.
You can't keep a good man down.
That's what I got. Let's go. Get me up. Get me up, boys. Get me up. Get me up, boys. Yes, dude. No, dude. What the fuck? Really? You're just gonna pass? Help a brother out. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hurts, doesn't it?
Man, my volume levels are all off, dude. Holy shit. Dude, murk this guy. Oh, dude. Please? Yes, dude.
Too strong.
Come on, man. These dudes are fucking running away the whole time. No wonder I got ran over. Alright. That's what I get for being a hero. Man, where's the train at?
I could outrun a centaur.
Let's go back over here. Let me check my stats here. Hey, Commander tab. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Do it. Oh, dude, I missed the fucking memo. God damn it. I fucked up. Oh, dude, they're getting. Oh, I'm fucked. Leave me alone.
Time to do some real damage.
Oh, and now it works. It wasn't working last time. This is sick. Oh shit, am I about to die? Let's get over the ridge.
Feel the fury.
Oh.
Knowledge is power.
Man, our crew's getting stomped on. I came here for easy experience. The fuck is this, man? Came here for a smooth ride. This commander ain't pulling his weight.
Do you require my assistance?
Man, we'll switch destiny. Oh, I want this mount, man. Goddamn. Fuck it. I'm gonna switch to Destiny.